Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's watch.
I just want to make it incredibly clear that if other women from your past are talking to you, you're just shutting it down.
Yeah.
I'm engaged.
Yeah.
That's it.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Easy.
Don't just
Okay, so they are headed to the costume party with all the other cast, and we hear in the middle of a conversation, it looks like, that Taylor's saying, look, if any past relationships or other cast members, other women on the show contact you, you need to shut it down. And he's saying, yeah, totally. Okay. On one hand, it's like, well, it's good to have a conversation like this around like expectations. On the other hand, it sounds like maybe something happened.
leave
Easy.
them on red or even worse, like something.
I totally understand.
I'm
sorry. It obviously didn't mean anything. I don't feel any sort of way. I saw it this morning. I didn't know how to react. I just liked the message.
Okay, so we're hearing from him that there was a message from someone this morning and he liked the message. Let's hear, what did you say?
Totally understand.
I'm
sorry. It obviously didn't mean anything. I don't feel any sort of way. I saw it this morning. I didn't know how to react. I just liked the...
I saw it this morning. I didn't know how to react, and so I liked it, and it doesn't mean anything. Okay, what was the message?
Message, and then I literally did not think about it the rest of the day. She isn't anything to me anymore.
I know, but it's just, I know that it's not part of your life, but I do want you to think about how would this make me feel?
I know, I hear that 100%.
Yes, especially as someone who has been cheated on, is putting an incredible amount of faith in you. And
okay, so she's saying that she has been cheated on before. I wonder what the stat is on that. It's really hard, actually, to determine the prevalence of infidelity because it depends on how you ask it. Do you ask, have you cheated on your current partner, or have you ever cheated on anyone in all of your relationships? Also, you're relying on self-report, which of course is unreliable, and you are defining infidelity in a variety of ways. Some people would only say that it's cheating if you had intercourse with someone or something, but of course we can also include infidelity to involve just Facebook DMs and never actually meeting up with someone. It depends on the definition. But anyway, the other question is, what's the prevalence of someone knowing that they have been cheated on by someone in the past? Because that percentage would be higher, because that would involve, well, would that be higher necessarily? I'm just guessing it would be a high percentage, if you include every relationship you've ever been in, going back to when you first started relationships, like in middle school or something. So there's that. But anyway, but she said that she has been cheated on in the past, and she said something like, I need you to understand how this would make me feel. So, yeah. And I'll talk about infidelity as a clinician and as a professor or supervisor and as a YouTuber. I'll talk about infidelity recovery. I'll talk about jealousy. I'll talk about how you communicate about those needs. This conversation is going pretty well, but I'm just wondering what the circumstances are, because on one hand, she might be overreacting. Somehow I doubt that, but you never know. Or she is reacting not much, because it doesn't seem like this is a huge deal. She's not screaming or saying it's over or anything. So I don't know. Let's just watch.
Believing and trusting you completely. You're gonna be married in a week.
And I'm 100% here. 100% here.
I don't want to say it's okay right now, because that just wouldn't be
I
honest.
understand.
And it's just really bad timing that we had all day to talk about this, and now
I didn't think about it, right, yeah, and I should have thought about it, and that's the difference. I understand.
yeah, which kind of scares me a little bit. It's just
Okay, so she's saying that it scares her a little bit. So that sounds like maybe the liking of the DM was of a low degree of concern.
I'm pissed.
Well, the truth is, we have an amazing relationship. We have an amazing future ahead of us. missed something today. I need a little bit of like patience and learning and understanding. And I said it was gonna be this way, like it was gonna have some mistake that like.
And you're gonna get it. I've only had an hour.
I know. It kills me to even see you upset.
Okay, it sounds like this liking of the DM happened this morning, and then she found out an hour ago, and I don't know if I included it, but she said something like, it would have been nice to have talked about this throughout the day because we had all day, but now we're rushing to talk about it because we're on the way to this party. I would recommend that they not go to the party. If I were one of them, I'd be like, let's just talk about it the rest of the night, and let's not go to this stupid party. There's bigger fish to fry right now. But anyway, and then he advocated for himself, saying, I would like some patience. Because I was wondering about Garrett up until this point, that he seemingly was not really in the room. You'll hear me talk about Nick in this way sometimes, that he seems to be very accommodating. And of course, it's great. It's great to be nice, and sometimes you're easygoing. But it is a yellow flag of someone that is in a relationship out of fear and anxiety and desperation rather than out of mutual needs being met, right? And hearing him say, please give me some patience, tells me that he was in connection with his feelings and was able to voice them, which is a good sign for that dimension. But there's a lot of, I'm just wondering, maybe we'll never learn anything more about this. Maybe it's just a text from, or a DM from a former partner, and he was thinking, I don't know how to respond. I'm a little awkward anyway. And so, okay, and then later on he tells her about it. He tells Taylor about it.
I'm so happy you're here.
I'm so happy I'm here too.
So happy.
I talked with Steven on the phone today for over 2 hours.
Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna tell us everything.
Interesting. So we're hearing from Monica that Monica and Steve talked on the phone for over 2 hours. Let's hear more.
Did he call or did you call?
I called. We just were able to talk through everything and be in a good place. There's no excuse for what he did, but he's a good person who
Fucked up.
fucked up.
But you don't want to see him, right? Like dating.
No,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm actually glad to hear that. Generally speaking, I like it when people are nice to each other and there's the minimal amount of pain during a breakup. And they're also following a principle that I will put forth, that during a breakup is usually necessary to have multiple conversations regarding the breakup, because to just have the breakup and discuss okay, we're broken up now, I'm out of here, is an important thing to get out there, but there's a lot more emotionally that often needs to be discussed for both people moving into the future regarding what sort of narrative they build, questions and closure and that sort of thing. But Monica called him, which is, I'll commend her for, and she's saying that he's a good person who screwed up. She's saying there's no excuse for what he did, but he's a good person. So it's interesting. That tells us that, at least for Monica, when she thinks about all the interactions, even in light of what he did, that she still thinks that he's a good person. I think that reflects on her well in terms of her differentiation level, her ability to see the grays of the world, that it's not all black and white. And I think it reflects well on him, I think. It's hard to know. I mean, he could be a massive con. That's the thing about lying, that when you lie, and I talk about this, then it throws literally everything you do and say into question. Because what's the chance that we caught you on the one lie that you committed recently? It would be really foolish to assume that, right? Now, it's also potentially foolish to assume everything the other person is saying is a lie, or that they're a con artist, but it's just a huge question mark. How do you know? I mean, you never know about anybody, but when someone lies, you know that they lied and you know that they're capable of that. And also the way that they react to the lie. I mean, she's just arriving at a party, so she's having a really quick summary of it. But that narrative that he just screwed up, I wonder if there's more detail. I'm guessing there is, but that narrative never coheres in my book because it's not a mistake. You don't trip and end up cheating over the span of an entire evening and the next day.
So my ex-girlfriend, the one from 6.5 years ago, whatever, she texted me last night, and I just said, like, the liked or whatever, and then...
Did you say anything back?
No, I just liked it. So I was
So okay, they're talking about it. I didn't catch what he said at the beginning there.
So my ex-girlfriend, the one from...
So my ex-girlfriend, the one from 6.5 years ago. Right, I forgot that detail. He hadn't dated anyone for 6.5 years or 7 years. That's what he was saying. So my ex-girlfriend, the one from 6.5 years ago, that was the one?
6.5 years ago, whatever. She texted me last night, and I responded.
She texted me last night, and I responded. We heard earlier that he liked a text.
I just said, like, the liked or whatever, and then...
Did you say anything back?
No, I just liked it. So
Okay, yeah, okay. By responded, meaning he just liked it? All right.
okay, I was like, oh no,
You
I'm sorry.
responded?
I'm sorry. So I said, well...
This is different.
Yikes. I've run into this so many times. I, as a therapist that specializes in infidelity recovery, before I even ask or before I get any details or ask about details or before they disclose details, a couple will come to me wanting to recover from infidelity. And before we get into any of the details, I give the cheater a really long... I mean, by long, I mean maybe like 5 minutes. It's not typical that I'm just yammering at my clients. I'm mainly listening, but infidelity recovery requires a fair amount of guidance from me. And one of the long pieces of guidance that I will give, and it won't be the only time, but this upfront thing that I'll say to them is, okay, so in all likelihood, you are going to want to give details, and you might have already done that, about the infidelity. The cheated on partner, the victim here, will probably ask about details, and there's a very strict guideline that you have to follow, which is you cannot lie about the details because that will compound the problem tenfold. And everyone has an impulse to do that, or at least everyone I've worked with has had the impulse to lie about when they're asked, like, how many times did you get together with them? Or is there anyone else? Or did you reply to the text or whatever? And here are your available answers. You either tell the truth, or you can tell some of the truth while saying that's as much as I want to tell you right now, or you can just tell the whole truth. So the first option is you tell the whole truth. You just lay it all out there. That's one option. And there's various different considerations, but these are the only options. The whole truth, or you give the summary. You don't, like, if your partner asks you, I want to know exactly what happened. Okay, well, if you tell the whole truth, then it's just like, okay, and then I took his underwear off, and then that's, or you give the summary of, like, well, we had sex that night, and you don't fill in the details. The third available answer is you say, I'm sorry, but I don't know, I don't want to lie, and I also am not ready to tell you the answer to that question. So can we wait until our next therapy session to talk about it? Or something along those lines. So you can, what I tell them is you can refrain from answering. What you cannot do is make shit up or lie. Or say, even though in your head you got together with someone for 15 times, you can't say we only got together 14 times. don't say that. Now, if you made a mistake, then that's not a lie. You just made a mistake. But if you know it was 15 times, don't say it was 14 times. And I'll also say that when people cheat and they're caught and they are being asked questions, there's always a compulsion to minimize it, which doesn't make any sense, or it makes some slight sense, but often it's illogical overall in that, just like that, someone will have cheated with someone 15 times and they know it was 15 times and their partner asked them how many times and they're like, it was 14 times. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because in all likelihood, there's no difference between 14 and 15, or very little difference anyway. And I will see people lie like that as well. And what I'll also tell the cheater is, and I don't present it in this really exasperated way, but and I don't feel exasperated but when I am here, I guess, talking to y'all, I can express the ongoing frustration that will eventually set in my soul because of how the cheater will set us back in the therapy every now and then by having been discovered about lying post being in therapy, kind of a thing. And I'll also tell the cheated on partner that if your partner says, I'm not ready to answer that question, my recommendation is that you accept that answer and then we can talk about it in session the next time. Because I'd rather have the cheater say that than lie to you, okay? Or non-consensually tell you the truth. Like, we got a lot of time, it takes a lot of time. And so the other thing I'll tell the cheating partner is I have told cheating partners this whole spiel, and at least half the time, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, something will come out that will reveal that the cheating partner, after entering therapy, sometimes in this office, will have lied about details to the cheated on partner. And when that happens, the trust, that's what we're trying to do here. The goal, correct me if I'm wrong, is you're trying to get your partner to trust you again, right? And because so many good things happen when your partner trusts you. They stop hurting, they stop worrying, they stop grilling you, they stop being hypervigilant, that kind of stuff. That's what we're trying to get to. Trust takes time to build. And in that time, you have to be very trustworthy, like overly trustworthy. And if we're building trust, and then it comes out that you've been lying post me telling you this, then you go into the negative, and it takes even longer to recover. Like, just hypothetically, let's say that if you don't lie, then you might have 90% of your trust back in 2 years after working on it and having not lied and been caught in any lies in that time. But let's say that 6 months from now, that it comes out that you knew that you cheated 15, but you said 14. You might think, well, what's the big deal? Like, I told them that I cheated. What's wrong? What does it matter if I said 14? It's just one more time. It's another lie. And your partner, it would be foolish for your partner to think that that's the only lie. That's the thing. When you catch someone on a lie, it is extremely wise to assume there are 10 or 100 more lies for every one lie, because that's usually what happens. Because when people lie, they usually get away with it, unfortunately. So, because she's not checking your phone. If we're talking to Taylor, she has no idea. You could have been doing these kinds of things and delete it anyway. So, but let's say that you're building trust back, and after 6 months, you have like 40% of the trust back, and then you're caught in a lie. Well, now we're going back. Let's say right now your partner has like 10% trust in you. Well, after that lie, now we're going back to negative 20. And after 2 more years, we're not going to add 90%. we're going to add 50%. So every time it happens, you're pushing out that recovery time and you're starting the clock at zero. It's like that, that white erase board at work that's like, it's been 0 days since our last accident. That's what it does. And what you're hoping for is every day you can add another day to that whiteboard. It's been 15 days since our last incident. It's been 65 days since our last incident. Any lie, and in all likelihood, some of the lies will get discovered. It just erases that board and you go back to zero. So please, for the sake of our treatment here, I'm begging you, either say the truth or say a summary or say, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable answering that question. I'm really sorry. Can we talk about it in therapy in our next session? Those are your options. And then I'll also have a long thing where I talk about the cheated on partner sometimes will have a compulsion to ask a bunch of questions that are not conducive to recovery for anybody. Sometimes the cheated on partner has a compulsion to know every little detail, and they're entitled to it, but to hear it might actually infect their brain to some extent and their heart and make it so that they can't get those images out of their head. And so there has to be some discussion about what questions are wise from the cheated on partner. They're entitled to ask those questions and they're entitled to the truth, but I'll have a conversation. So, if outside of the session, if the cheated on partner says, okay, I want you to describe exactly what you did with that person. And you as the cheating partner are like, I don't know if this is, I'll tell you, but I don't know if this is good for you to hear. You can say, I don't want to answer that question right now. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not lying to you, but can we talk about it in our next session? And then we'll talk about it, whether, I'll weigh in on my opinion. It's up to you what you want to do with it. But, so when I see this happen and I see that Garrett, because it sounds like Garrett came forward with it. I don't know, but it sounds like an hour ago, Garrett came forward to Taylor, by the way, and didn't show, but told her, by the way, I just want to let you know. And then either failed to elaborate and, knowingly misled her or just flat out lied. We weren't there for all the discussion and I'm trying to remember everything that he said in detail. But the point is that he very much misled her to believe that he just liked a text or a DM. And that's it. It was interesting because, I'll rewind it because Garrett's like, yeah, I responded. And then Tyler, it's interesting to, it's like having the worm moment with Vanderpump Rules where as an audience member, something that the cast doesn't. That's not usually the case, right? But Tyler asks him, so you responded, like you what did you say? And then Garrett had kind of a shady answer. He's like, oh no, like or something. And I thought, oh, that was kind of, it's like respond. You wouldn't say respond if you just liked something. And then he's like, well, yeah, I kind of did. Yeah. So I think up until this point, the Taylor and Garrett discussion around this text seemingly was a minor blip that they got over. And now this could set everything so far back. Because if I were in Taylor's shoes, I would be like, wait, what? I'd be like, even if it was just a reply, and if I saw your reply, it would be innocuous. I now have to absorb the fact that just 15 minutes ago or 45 minutes ago, you completely misled me. And we'll see how Garrett responds, because if he says something like, I did. I did mislead you earlier, and I'm sorry. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. That's bad, but that would be a little bit of a trust bump I would lose less trust in Garrett. But if Garrett says, I didn't mislead you, you believed that on your own. If that's ever happened to you, you're just like, this is where the word gaslighting starts to emerge. It's not gaslighting in and of itself, but that way that people will react when they are caught in a lie. So we'll see how Garrett does with this. All right, well, let's adjourn there. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.